All right, well, we've been waiting on it all day, and now we finally have Tropical Storm Erin, formed from the tropical wave that came off the west coast of Africa and created the area of disorganized showers and storms, which has now organized enough to become Tropical Storm Erin. So let's take a little bit closer look at the cone from the National Hurricane Center. You'll notice pretty good agreement until we get out to a certain point. So the cone is very tight as Tropical Storm Erin kind of moves further west into the Atlantic. By the time we're talking about the second half of the work week, that's when the certainty starts to spread out just a bit. That is also when the National Hurricane Center predicts this making an upgrade to our first hurricane of the 2025 season, entering the main development region and then entering a hurricane status as a Category 1 hurricane, pushing further west into the Atlantic and even upgrading further into a Category 2 and then eventually into a Category 3 storm. That's when the track of this system becomes a little bit less certain, moving north over the Lesser Antilles, and then beyond that we will have to see what happens in the coming days. You can even see that reflected on the spaghetti models here. We'll just look at the GFS model. Good certainty until we get just north of the Lesser Antilles. Then the models start to spread out. Not quite sure if this system is going to curve further towards the east or if it's going to continue pushing further towards the west into the Atlantic. We'll be watching this system over the next couple of days. Again, this would be our first hurricane of the 2025 season if it does upgrade to that status. On average, the first hurricane of the season occurs around August 11th, so we're close to, if not slightly behind, being on track with this system. Not only do we have Tropical Storm Erin, but we have two other areas of potential tropical development that the National Hurricane Center is monitoring. One of these just identified as of 8 a.m. this morning. This is a non-tropical low pressure system here in the northwestern Atlantic. The thing about this system is they've tagged it because it's sitting over the warm waters of the Gulf Stream. However, it needs to kind of get together or show some signs of tropical development here within the next 2 days because it's going to start moving further towards the north. That's going to push it into some cooler waters where it's going to lose the chances of development. Overall, this system is not looking overly impressive for tropical development. It could show some signs of tropical characteristics, but it's a 2% chance of development over the next 2 days or over the next 7 days. Again, it really needs to happen over the next 2 days or the system is going to drift further north into cooler waters and not really organize itself. We also have Invest 96L, which we've been watching for over a week or so now, and it really has not shown signs of developing much further. I think it may have missed its window a bit on this. Remember, invest is the term that the National Hurricane Center gives a system when they think it will become a tropical depression or a tropical storm within the next 7 days. After this was deemed invest, unfortunately, well, I guess fortunately, we don't necessarily need more tropical systems than we already have, but it has gradually lost its chances of development. Now we're sitting at very low chances of development, 10% in the next 2 days and a 10% in the next 7 days. So there you have it. We have our 5th named storm of the 2025 season, and make sure to stay up to date with our 13 WMAZ weather team. We'll bring you the latest with this system.